Hi everyone. It is Miss Polly again. today, today is Friday. So it was this week seemed like it went by really, really fast. It didn't seem like a whole bunch of crazy stuff happened today or even this week. But which makes me kind of feel like it wasn't productive enough. But who am I? Who am I? Could have been. Tonight we wanted to do our poly talk. Um, the last couple videos I put out were our 31 days of scary. We want to continue to do those. Um, they're pretty awesome in my opinion, of course. But um, what I did was I found out why everything looked like it was going slower and our issues with the echoing and things like that. So we may redo at least one of them, possibly two. And then what we'll also do is we'll go back and we'll try it again. Um, I was told that there was something wrong with the actual service. They had it on a different plan or something like that. So hopefully that's remedied from today, and we can go forth and then play our videos, and we won't have those kind of issues um, anymore. Fingers crossed. From tonight, what we want to do is kind of bring up a topic that I don't think it's talked about too much, just out in public. But I think there's a good need for it to come out. So tonight, I want to hit up a poly talk and have a couple topics. The first one I want to run right into is kind of would be about polyandry women and the lack of support that we get. Um, and what I mean by that support, what I mean by support of other people who are poly and who can understand us, that we don't have a gathering of polyandry people who come together and kind of talk about what it's like to be polyandry and the struggles that kind of come with that. Um, there's no one to really talk to, and especially if you only have friends who are monogamous. If it's a poly person talking to a person who's monogamous, it won't add up right. You won't get what you need from those conversations because people are in a different place and don't won't understand where you're coming from. And that's a big issue. So finding other people who are polyandry is a big thing. Now, usually there are people who are polygamous. Yes, do they deal with some of the things you deal with? Absolutely. It is nice to talk to polygamists if they would like to talk to you. A lot of times, polyandry women and polygamous men do not get along because of the idea um, that polygamy is the only way. So there can be issues with finding the right polygamist to have conversations with, but if you find a good few of them, they can have good conversations because they understand what it's like to have two partners or more of the opposite sex, and you're the only sex there, and they're able to kind of talk to you about issues that come up with that, which would be even you know feeling like you're the only one holding everyone together. Sometimes you because there's no other sex there's no other female or no other male in the group, so you are the reason they're together. That's why they call us a V, the hinge, you know, or I'm gonna do it that way. The hinge, we hold our partners together, and that can be an issue sometimes because listen, if they don't count on each other, then that can become an issue. So there's times where you know you might feel a certain way, your partners may feel a certain way, and you want to talk to other people about that who have that commonality, and they're not there. So for polyandry women, I think that even just talking to friends, things like that, based on what I was just saying, sometimes having those conversations and you just feel like everyone is saying, "Oh, well, you already have more than one partner," or "Why are you looking for more?" And you get that so much, and sometimes it can be very lonely when you hear that, or you just feel like you don't want to share anything because you're going to be judged, um, just judged based on the fact that the kind of relationship you have, no one else can compare it to you and help you in those struggles. So it is, I think, important to find a support system. Facebook groups have some. Sometimes those kind of poly groups like that, usually looking for dating. So when you reach out to try to find support, sometimes there's a lack of because they're all kind of dating. But a lot of times those admins may have information. Make sure your group is actually poly and not lifestyles, because that can also get a little rough. So find a polyandry group. Find some friends in there, have conversations. But being polyandry and not having a group to go to can be very difficult, and can feel lonely, and can feel like no one understands where you're coming from. So you're not alone in that. You know, reach out to people. Like I said, reach out to other people who maybe do the same dynamic as you, and see how they feel, because I'm sure they're going to feel the same way you do in certain instances, and they can relate, and then they can tell you what they did or they didn't do, and then kind of go from there. In that situation. So yeah, it can be very, very hard. Um, I think another thing is that it's a little bit harder to hold male partners together if they're in a dynamic where they're not bisexual. That's a big thing. Having partners who are non-bisexual in a polyandry situation is a little bit different, and it I think right now, I think it was like a 3% or 4% of the world practices polyandry. And the thing is with that, hey there, the thing with that is, if you are polyandry, and on top of being polyandry, your partners are not bisexual, you are like you're in for a twirl, because men don't usually make a brotherhood with other men unless they're family members, or unless they have some camaraderie amongst each other. So this is something, that can be very stressful, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And it's just, hey, Mecca, and it's just something that you got to get really used to. And I have made a video before about how to start polyandry. But I should probably make another one that's more detailed. But definitely, being in a situation like that is very stressful. Another issue would be, you know, consistently being told things that you maybe are not true, which is like, okay, well, you have two male partners, so you're, not as attractive anymore, because oh, you got two partners messing with you, and it just kind of looks a certain way. So you can get that too. It just it can be a little overwhelming if you're not ready. Especially like I said, being polyandry is one of the ones that's overwhelming. It is more acceptable to be polygamist. Polygamist is a man with two women. That is a lot more accepted. And like I said, it's like 83% or 87% of the world practice that. And that is more acceptable than being polyandry. And then, like I said, on top of all of that, if they're not bisexual, it's another layer that just makes you more and more unique. And that can be stressful, not to have people around you who can gather around you. So that's my little spill about being polyandry, a little bit things you guys should know. And just keep in mind, um, don't be scared of it though. Don't be scared of it though. Now, like I said, this is ask questions time. If you guys are in the chat, I appreciate you for stopping by. Go ahead and put something in. I saw Mecca had said hello. Um, Now I'm still new to putting people up and all that great stuff. So here's Mecca. Lovely to see you. I've never even added anyone to my stream yet, so I haven't got to that part either. So we will one day, but we haven't got there yet. Um, Let me go down here. So next thing that come out, I was on tag today. It got banned, of course. I get banned on that a lot, but I haven't been on there in a long time. I got banned because I showed a picture of Doja Cat prior to Doja Cat being small, and I got banned. So it is what it is. Uh, I am going to go back live on there, but I want to hit this little video up just to kind of just give out some little bit of topics, because I know I haven't done a poly talk in a minute, and so I wanted to definitely hit those up. If you guys are interested in starting your poly pod, like I said, I am a life coach also, and I can give you guys some clarification on those things. But definitely, if you're polyandry and you want to go into polyandry, I'm gonna tell you it's a lot easier to go into polyandry now than probably like 15 years ago. Especially since there's a lot more people who are more open about the fact that they're not in commitment with more than one man. So they're like, oh, I have a boy, I have a guy that I talk to, and I talk to another guy, and they know that I don't just talk to them. So you're kind of setting up the stage for polyandry. So for women who are interested in polyandry, um, I'm not saying they will be okay with it, but you have the ability to bring that conversation to the table because of how women are dating now and how men are, not all of them, but are a little bit more accepting of the fact that you may have another guy. Now, what that looks like and the construction, if they know that that really means they have to be in it 100%, now that you may have to work on. But the fact that they're able to be like, oh well, hey, dude, she got no dude, it's whatever. That that right there means that the acceptance in their head is a little bit there. Not saying it's proper, but just saying it's a little, he cracked the door, okay? So you can at least have a conversation about maybe what they may look like and things like that. So there is opportunity. And if you are from Africa, South Africa is allowed to have polyandry, legal marriage, okay? Legal marriage. You're allowed to be in South Africa married to two men at the same time. You are able to do that. You're married, it's bonded, it's whatever. Now it didn't say two, it said multiple men. So you could have three or whatever. So that's nice too. So this kind of opens up that. With that being said, there are some other um conversations you want to have on tag, but I just haven't got able to get back on tag because I was banned yet still. But we were going to talk about the black poly world versus the white poly world, which is a very interesting conversation. And one of the reasons why it makes it so interesting is, or which I might do it in another segment on it, is that there are two kinds of poly worlds. There's a black poly world and there's a white poly world. The worlds are totally different. And even when it comes to poly outside the United States, it is a whole another situation, because people who are poly in the United States, it's different than if you're poly somewhere else. So there's a lot of constructs, there's a lot of legal issues and things like that, and religion tied to poly in other places. In so they have different rules and different no nos and things like that. If you want to be poly here, you can pick what you want. We got a lot more freedom here to do that. And then the guys here, they say it's hard to find women to be poly with them, and I get it because women are going through that process right now of a new age, and they say it's harder to find women in the United States to be poly, but if they go outside, they are able outside the United States to find more women available to do poly, and that's most likely true because it just makes sense. Um, Women have now, not all women, a lot of women have deemed themselves entitled to certain things, and a lot of them have, and those things do not provide for poly. So you would not be able to really find larger groups of people who want to do poly. But I'm gonna tell you, if you come to the table with proper information and let them have the opportunity to make a choice, a lot of times these relationships nowadays, they're already doing this, they're already participating in poly, and you just have to explain how you can make it a better functioning situation in ethical poly, because a lot of people are already dating multiple people already. They're just not doing it the right way, and they're not trying to make any kind of commitment or plans for the future. And so if you can have a conversation with those people, maybe that's something you can do. So even though the women have been changing, the options are there to be able to be poly, or actually it's a lot easier to bring the conversation to the table and have a yes if you know what you're saying and what you're doing. So you have to be prepared. You just can't walk into it and say, "Hey, I want you and you." That's not that sounds rude, and no woman is going to be okay with you saying you just want two ladies. There has to be more. There has to be some substance to your reasoning of why you want two women, why you desire that. Even if it's just I'm just poly, I feel like I can love more than one person. For women, they want to know, well, what does this mean? What does this look like? And then make a choice if they want to be on board. So that's something you have to have a conversation about, get your information on, educate yourself, and then go from there. It's real, really. But there are people who do it, so you're not alone, and it's okay. Find your way. Okay, so that was one of them. The white and black poly, like I said, they are two separate worlds. In black poly, there's a lot of hiding, extreme hiding, but that's not unusual, really. Just the culture itself, they hide being gay. Even now, it's like a big, big no no. Kind of say that's what it is. In the white community, it's if someone came to you and they're white and said they're bisexual, you'd be like, okay, there's a lot more open with it, and it's in everyone's face. Black community, not it's still like really a big no no. So these are the things that you're up against. And you're in the community. So it is one of those things where, like, if you only want to date black poly people, you're gonna have a lot of people who want to hide. A lot of people you're not gonna want to be in public with you. A lot of people don't want their families to know that you're a secret. There's lots of people who even will uh come out and say, "Oh, I've had family members that kind of had a weird situation going on, but I didn't know what it was." It's most likely they're poly and they just didn't tell you exactly what it was, and they just let you just figure it out. There's black community, it's a lot of hiders. White community, poly, a lot more openness. You'll see a lot more open pods. You'll see a lot more people open with it, and that even goes for out of country. But we're talking about in country now. But out of country, if they're poly, they're open and okay with it. It's a like, I own what I am and I'm proud of it. So poly in the white community is a little bit different. And then, like I said, the acceptance of more bisexuals and anyone who's gay will make that an easier dynamic to go around, and that's just not the case for the black community. But like I said, if you're one of those people who are looking for someone who's going to be really out loud and big with it, you're going to have a better chance finding that in the white poly community than the black community. Another thing is, I think it's for both. They kind of hide amongst lifestylers a little bit, so it's a little confusing for people. Everyone thinks we're all lifestylers, which is bonding just sexually with most of our partners, and it gets confusing because you're like, well, are you lifestyle? Lifestyle to me is this, and I've had a lot more confusion in the black community of what the differences between poly and lifestyles are. But when you go to a white community, it's a very clear distinction, and they make the distinction and they'll let you know. So there's a difference. I think more black community will kind of they merge it more because they just see it as, let's simplify it. It's got people dating more than one person, and that's what it is. And they don't really want to hear any more deeper things that come with that. My community, they will break it apart. Nope, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm only a wife swapper. They're very specific on what they do. They take time and investigate what they're doing and how they're representing it. Now, I'm not saying everyone does, but it's more likely you're going to see that. And that community is very, very quiet. Like I said, you don't want to, it's a secret. So they're not going to do as much research. It's going to be like, we're just doing us. So you're not going to find that as much over there. So I have seen that. When it comes to support groups, same thing. Because of the hiding, you won't see it as much in the black community. You'll see a lot more support groups in a Caucasian situation. So there are things like the Black Poly Nation. There's just to name a couple places. There's places that are just for urban poly, things like that. They're poly groups, and they basically are only catering to ethnic people. They won't even let you in if you're not. And so they're catering to that. But then you go to another place and it's all poly. So most of you hear poly and there's nothing else associated with it. Most likely a Caucasian, possibly if a few different kinds of people, black or whatnot. But if you want to find something specifically, it's going to be right over there, ethnic poly groups, and they're going to be very clear on what they what they want and what they're looking for. So that's what I think the main differences are. Um, and so you just gotta find your place. But I personally don't like the hiding as much, so I find that in the more of a black community, like they'll be all open with it with you, but if you ask to meet someone's grandma or aunt or something, you're just gonna be a friend, or you're just gonna be this person that you know. You're not gonna be the partner, and I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes. So, or a majority of the time, because it's a hidden thing. They don't explain to their grandma that they love more than one person. That's too much. But that can also happen on the other end. But I just, like I said, the acceptance is just so much more over here on the Caucasian side. So it is a little bit of difference when it comes to that. But mingling amongst each other, it just seems like a lot of we just love each other because they're just poly. But there is a distinction, and definitely, you can see it and you can feel it and you know it. And I'm sure there's some other ones, but I just wanted to give you those little few. I didn't want to make the video too long today. Like I said, I want to make short, just a couple topics we had brought up. Like I said, check out my check out tag Instagram, things like that. Miss Polly Right is on all the same platform name. And you guys like these videos, subscribe, like it. Tell me if you'd like to hear some more answers to any of the questions you guys have, and you can share with us what you think. Thank you guys for stopping by and just saying hello. Or if you didn't say hi, you just looked a little bit, that's cool too. I appreciate even that. So I want to let you guys in with that. We'll bring up our next video, 31 Days is Scary, and soon here, and we'll upload that. So you guys have a good night for now, and we'll see you again. All right, guys. Bye.